All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. And you may can tell I'm pretty happy because we're working on my Cutlass, or I'm working on my Cutlass. And maybe not exactly the car itself, because something's happening with that, but not with actually that. That'll make more sense a couple weeks from now, I promise. But in the meantime, we've got this to work on. Got something funny to tell you about this thing in just a second after we get through the intro, but I'm going to show you what we've got to do today, at least what today's episode is about, and then we can get on into some more serious stuff once this thing is all ready to go. All right, so a couple of you, when I picked this thing up, I told you the engine specs, that it was 4.185 on the bore, 3.4 on the stroke. And I said that was 380 cubic inches. Well, those of you that did the math realize that's wrong. So not only is it not 380 cubic inches, it's not 3.4 inch stroke. It's actually 3.5 inch stroke, which is 385 cubic inches. Yeah, so like we talked about in the previous episode about the engine, I'm gonna spin the daylights out of it. Soccer Mom has a 3.625 stroke in it, turned her 9,200 RPM, but she does not have the port volume that this engine does. So some of you, if you haven't seen the episode where I went and picked this up from Bill Travato's shop, BTR, up in New York, that's a whole lot of cross-sectional area. And you can see the valve down in there, because you need to be able to move volume to be able to turn RPM. Think about 385 cubic inches at 8,500 plus RPM. Am I going to spin at 9,000 RPM every pass? Probably not. But we're kind of planning the shift point to be somewhere 84, 8,500 on the thing. And yeah, that's spinning some RPM, especially with kind of an odd engine. But like we just saw at Sick Week, guys like Rich Guido, who drove his car all the way down from Canada, made a whole bunch of awesome passes with a stick shift in a super, super heavy car. You're my hero, Rich. Like, that thing's just cool. Am I putting a stick shift in my car? No, I'm not gonna do that. I know my limitations. Those of you that saw me race the Dale truck back years ago, I mean, yeah, I could get good at stick shift racing, but my deal is more, I wanna go real fast and not have to worry about working on a clutch as I tear it up every pass. But anyways, we need to cover up the bottom of the engine here. You can see my it's got a billet Bryant crankshaft in it. We've got aluminum rods, and to be honest, I don't remember the brand, shame on me, but Bill did all the machine work for the 4-bolt caps, something that no Oldsmobile ever came with. And you can see these outers are actually splayed. They're angled outwards to come up into the, the meteor section of the block. But you'll notice there's no oil pump. Oil pump normally bolts right to here. And there's one maybe really good oil pump for an Oldsmobile. But what I have chosen to do, and I've been a part of some other programs that have done this before, we are running a Moroso single stage external oil pump. And it's gonna mount somewhere, somewhere down here. I have 4 crankshaft driven accessories that I'm going to need to run on this thing. Have the oil pump, obviously. And then I have a fuel pump, just like we've got in Soccer Mom. The big, probably 12-gallon black Aeromotive pump that I'll be running for the race fuel system. Planning on having a vacuum pump as well. And then I will also have an alternator. So it's going to be kind of busy on the front of this engine, and we've got to engineer it where everything fits and everything has room for everything else. So the fuel pump will be the most forward piece because I will be popping that belt off for the street rides. So I need that one on the very front. Might even pop the vacuum pump hose off. I don't know. Maybe we'll just leave that hooked up. But beyond that, we will have the alternator will probably be the thing that sits the farthest back, and I'll probably drive it off of the back pulley on the hub drive. I actually ordered a pulley, like a V-belt pulley, that's going to go back here, and it will sandwich between there. See how that kind of fits just like that. And there's a whole lot of figuring out that I've got to do, because this isn't your everyday cookie cutter LS or small block Chevrolet. Yeah, I said it. They're super common, but this is not. So I'm gonna get you set up on the tripod and show you the oil pan and what we're about to do. All right, so the oil pan. Something I've had for quite a few years. You can tell it's an old, maybe not old, but, well, yeah, it's really old because I've had it for a long time. But good oil pan. It's got a diamond screen inside of it. So you can tell it's set up for there to be an oil pump down in here that's bolted to the main cap. So what I want to do, one of the things is we're gonna remake this screen, because I've already got some of this screen somewhere around here. And so we're gonna have to trim this part off here and make this screen go the full length. So what this screen does is it allows oil to go through one direction. I don't know if you can kind of see that in there. The oil is spinning and getting thrown this way in the oil pan. And the holes are arranged in a way that the oil will go through this way in this direction and will not come back through it. So it helps cut down on windage in the oil pan. Well, maybe you're wondering, all right, well, that's cool and all, but how do you get oil to the oil pump? Well, let me go grab that piece. So we have purchased a piece from Moroso. I go CJ to go get some lunch. This is a billet machined oil pump pickup. And it sticks out the side of the pan. So we have this fitting here that has a screen on the inlet of it. Let's see if I can get it out of here. So that's that little sucker that poked me a minute ago. This will screw into the side of the pan. This piece will be sitting in the pan with the opening down to the bottom. Lots and lots and lots of oil volume. This will screw to there, and then from there into the inlet of the oil pump will be a big 16 AN line. So no restrictions. I don't know if that's, yeah, there we go. Shows you how large that deal is there. And the reason that I'm doing this is because in my mind, I know that this will move large amounts of oil to keep my engine lubricated and pressurized lubrication. So we've got to fit this to the bottom of the pan and then also remake the screen. So one thing this pump has that I think is really awesome is this setup right here. Oh, there we go. So this is actually an adjustable pressure relief valve. So I will be able to set my oil pressure basically at whatever I want to, at least as far as this pump will make the pressure based on the volume that the clearances are in the engine. So that's what we're doing. And if I have to, you know, custom make part of this bracket, I'm not scared of any of that. You know, it's just going to be some fabrication work. It's a good thing we do some fabrication around here. And I might even replace this bracket because it's used, or I might just machine it to accept a, see, it's somebody, the guy I bought it from must have messed it up, but we've already gone through and rebuilt this pump. I've had some friends have this pump on their engines and they liked it. So it's actually, I bought this from one of my buddies. It was his spare that had been run just a little bit, but yeah, I gotta get to work in making this fit. So let's set you up on a time lapse, see if we can get this thing fabricated and possibly get an oil pan installed on my engine, which will make me feel good because then the bottom end will be sealed up. Oh, one other thing that's really great about this is to prime the engine, pop the belt off, put a drill on here. It's got a 7/16 bolt, or a 1/4 inch bolt with a 7/16 head on it. Literally just put the drill on here and spin it and be able to make oil pressure without the thing even running. Pressurize the entire oiling system, because out of the oil pump it's going to have to go to a filter and then feed back into the engine on the side of the engine. So it's a nice way to check your oiling system for any leaks. It'll be easy if I ever decide to add an oil cooler, because it'll have external lines already going from the pump to, you know, the pump back to the engine. And we may run an oil cooler on the thing just because, you know, drag week. It is a huge pan, so maybe we'll just keep an eye on, you know, keep an eye on the oil temperature, and it won't be that big of a deal. But I am gonna keep an eye on that and leave myself room to add an oil cooler at some point. So let's get started on this. Start chopping up my oil pan and get to work. All right, well, it's time to weld this thing up. And I'm not sure if you can see down in there. So basically what I did, this is a 1/2 inch thick, so I'm setting myself up for a 1/2 inch of pickup to pan clearance, just in case I you know, squish it in a wheelie or something. Gives me just a little bit of extra safety, and I know I'll have the oil level, you know, not right on the very edge of being too low. Huge oil pan, should have a good bit of oil in the pan all the time to keep that pickup completely submerged. But it's time to start welding this thing in. And I need to finish making my screen, which I'm running out of time. I got 20 minutes before I gotta go pick up my kids from school and then buzz down to Sebring for the Trans Am race. I need more time. Well, that's gonna have to do it for today. And that may be the way some of these things go. Like, I'm gonna try to bring you guys as many episodes as I can on the Cutlass. Like I said, I'm gonna try and do one a week. Sometimes we'll finish the project, sometimes we won't. So I still have to trim this off and make a total mess of the pan again. Probably should have thought about that before I cleaned it out. But I gotta remake the screen, and I still have to add a brace. Yeah, it's all hot in here. You guys can't feel the heat, but it's hot. So there's a brace that goes from the pickup tube down to the bottom. Gonna verify my clearance is that 1/2 inch that I was targeting with the piece I had put in there. There's the brace for the pickup tube. All comes nice and already preset up. But I'm gonna try and get a little more weld over here on this side. But did it on both sides. I tried to keep it as thin as possible right here because, you know, the fitting's got to go in, and I'm not screwing that in there because it would definitely get stuck. But it's got to clear the hex, you know, when it spins in there. And I may need to kiss this flange or the sealing deal right there just a little bit. May have to, not sure. We'll see how the gasket seals up on that thing. But I know I need to add a turbo drain, an oil temperature sender, and possibly a return for an oil pressure regulator for the turbo. You guys might have seen us put one on the lawn dart. Supposedly there's a Gen 2 version of that thing out that doesn't need the return, but I may weld one onto the pan anyway and then just put a cap over it or something if I have to. So, that'll do it for this episode. I just thought of something and I think it'll still clear. Oh yeah, starter's on the driver's side of an Oldsmobile. Never mind, we're good. Just thought I might have had some starter interference problems, but I think we're good. So anyways, like I said, that'll do it for this episode. I'm gonna try to do every Friday or Saturday or maybe even Sunday an episode on the Cutlass. So see you guys next time.